Hello, my name is David Lewis, and I have the privilege of being the current president of the Society of Biological Psychiatry. I look forward to welcoming you all to our upcoming annual meeting to be held virtually April 29th through May 1st. Today, I would like to recognize the SOBP 2021 honorific awardees. These awards will be recognized virtually at the upcoming meeting. Please join me in congratulating each of these wonderful colleagues. The A.E. Bennett Award for Basic Research recognizes research accomplishments in biological psychiatry by an early career investigator. Congratulations to this year's awardee, Dr. Vikas Sohal of UCSF.
Hi, I'm Matt State, Chair of the Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Sciences at UCSF, and I could not be more thrilled to be able to introduce this year's winner of the A.E. Bennett Basic Research Award, Vikas Sohal, MD, PhD. Vikas is a remarkable physician scientist who's already made multiple seminal contributions to psychiatric basic research. He's advanced our understanding of the mechanisms of brain function and psychiatric illness, and he's laid the foundation for major breakthroughs in translational research. His early career was a clear indicator of where things were headed. After studying mathematics at Harvard and Cambridge, he completed his MD and PhD at Stanford University School of Medicine. He did his doctoral work on electrophysiology with John Huguenard, and then he went on to postdoc with Carl Deiseroth at Stanford. He joined the Deiseroth lab at a remarkable time and worked on some of the very first experiments using optogenetics to study the function of brain circuits. This was a milestone breakthrough that revolutionized our ability to identify specific cells, synapses, and brain circuits involved in normal and pathological behaviors, particularly those related to psychiatric disorders. Vikas played a key role at the start of this revolution. This was marked by his 2009 first author paper in the journal Nature. It was the first study to use optogenetics to examine the role of specific cell types in cortical circuits, and it's now been referenced more than 2,000 times. I wish I could take credit for then recruiting Dr. Sohal to our faculty at UCSF, but he predated me by several years. In 2010, he started his laboratory, which has now had remarkable success in studying how circuits in the prefrontal cortex produce patterns of brain activity that contribute to normal cognition, as well as symptoms of psychiatric illness. He brings together a dizzying array of cutting-edge tools and state-of-the-art methods, including computational, electrophysiological, optogenetic, and imaging approaches. His lab now boasts a long list of critical insights at the bench showing how specific classes of inner neurons generate rhythms in the gamma frequency range and how gamma oscillations contribute to cognitive functions that are impaired in disorders like schizophrenia. They've discovered how neuromodulators such as dopamine and serotonin can change the properties of specific cell types and thereby change the way in which specific prefrontal circuits contribute to particular behaviors. And this is just a couple of examples of the seminal observations his team has made over the last 11 years. In my view, this body of work alone warrants the recognition accorded him by this award. But he recently has taken on a new challenge that is leading to some of the most exciting work in translational science anywhere, in my view. He's been collaborating with a neurosurgeon at UCSF, Eddie Chang, analyzing intracranial recordings from hospitalized patients with epilepsy. So Vikas's lab was able to discover a pattern of neural activity in 2/3 of that patient cohort that correlated real time with changes in subjective mood states. They've identified a conserved mood biomarker that directly links human affect to dynamic patterns of brain activity. This work was published in Cell and has really represented a critical step in enabling closed loop truly personalized deep brain stimulation. It's launched clinical trials at UCSF, led by Eddie Chang, along with Andrew Crystal and Catherine Skangos in our department. And I think it is promising a truly transformative treatment for the most severely affected patients that we see. Let me conclude by saying that in my view, Dr. Sohal is truly the apotheosis of the physician scientist. He continues to bridge being active in the clinic with being an outstanding teacher and mentor, and obviously leading an extraordinarily productive lab. And somehow on top of this, he also manages to help us lead the research enterprise in the Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Sciences at UCSF, acting as Deputy Vice Chair for Basic Research. He's truly an outstanding citizen and a deeply good human being. It is an honor and tremendous pleasure to be able to call him a colleague. Congratulations, Vikas, on this richly deserved award.
Okay, I want to thank Matt State for introducing me and nominating me. I want to start off by, of course, acknowledging that this award is really a reflection of my lab. I'm really proud of the fact that we've done a lot of very eclectic work, and that's a direct reflection of the diverse and collaborative group of very talented individuals I've been lucky to have work with me in my laboratory. Second, of course, I want to acknowledge all of my fantastic mentors. When I was an undergraduate, I sort of started off my scientific career working with Mike Hasselmo. As a graduate student, I was mentored by John Huguenard. When I was a psychiatry resident, I did a postdoc with Carl Deiseroth. And when I started my lab here at UCSF, I got a lot of great mentorship from John Rubenstein and the late Allison Dope. My lab, we try to identify interesting and outstanding problems in neuropsychiatric disease, and then come up with creative new ways to attack and address these problems. And it's a little different than just kind of doing the next logical experiment. And that's something I definitely learned from all of these really great mentors. Third, I kind of want to acknowledge the fact that it's special for me that this year the award is being presented by David Lewis, because one of the problems I've been most excited about addressing throughout my career has been understanding how gamma oscillations contribute to both normal cognition and cognitive deficits in conditions such as schizophrenia. And David Lewis really got that ball rolling. Both with the work in his lab showing that there are these deficits in parvalbumin interneurons in schizophrenia, and by building a group at Pittsburgh that articulated this hypothesis that these abnormalities in parvalbumin interneurons contribute to abnormal gamma oscillations that might contribute to cognitive deficits, and really fleshed that out with a number of interdisciplinary studies. I'd like to think that our most recent work has provided some causal evidence for the idea that gamma oscillations are really critical for certain forms of cognition, and may be targeted to remediate cognitive deficits associated with schizophrenia. That's something that I'm really excited about right now. And then lastly, I just want to end by kind of reflecting on the fact that as long as I can remember, I've always wanted to be a scientist. I grew up in a small town in Idaho, and it was a kind of odd place to always feel like you belonged, but I always felt at home when I was, talking, thinking, reading about science. And so it's very gratifying to get this award, particularly from senior colleagues in the area of biological psychiatry, for doing good science and being a good scientist. So thank you very much to the Society for Biological Psychiatry for this really fantastic award.